Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Talk Sara English. I'm Sarah, and I'm really happy you're here with us today.
And I'm Mike. It's great to have you with us again. Wherever you are right now, I hope you can relax, listen comfortably, and enjoy this conversation.
Today, we're going to talk about something that is connected to every person's life. We're going to talk about your future.
Yes, your future. It sounds like a big topic, but don't worry. We're going to talk about it in clear, natural English and connect it to everyday life.
This episode is useful if you're around B1 to B2 level. We'll use longer sentences and useful vocabulary, but we'll still keep everything clear and natural.
And remember, you don't need to understand every single word. Try to follow the meaning and notice how we use English to talk about plans, hopes, choices, and possibilities.
Before we begin, I want you to think about one simple question.
What do you want your life to look like in the future?
You don't need to answer right away. Just keep that question in your mind while we talk.
Maybe you already have a clear picture of your future. Maybe you know where you want to live, what kind of work you want to do, or what kind of person you want to become.
Or maybe you have no idea yet. Maybe your future feels uncertain and you are still trying to understand what you really want.
And honestly, that is completely normal. Not everyone has a perfect 5-year plan.
Exactly. Sometimes someone asks, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" And suddenly you feel like you need a perfect answer.
Yes, you can be having a completely normal day and then someone asks that question and your brain says, I have absolutely no idea.
That happens to many people. The future is difficult to predict because life can change in ways we never expect.
But even though we cannot know exactly what will happen, we can still think about the direction we want to take.
That is an important difference. We cannot completely control our future, but we can influence it through the choices we make today.
I really like that idea, because some people think planning for the future means knowing everything.
But it doesn't. Planning can simply mean understanding what matters to you and deciding what you want to work toward.
For example, maybe you want to become more confident in English.
You don't need to know exactly how fluent you will be 3 years from now. You can simply decide that English will be an important part of your future.
Then you can make smaller decisions, such as listening to English every morning, speaking with someone once a week, or learning useful expressions every day.
Those small decisions may not look important at first, but over time, they can change your abilities and create new opportunities.
And that brings us to something interesting. When we talk about the future, we often use words like dreams, plans, goals, and expectations.
These words are connected, but they do not mean exactly the same thing.
A dream is usually something you strongly want. It can be personal, emotional, or ambitious.
A plan is more specific. It is an idea about what you intend to do.
And a goal is something you want to achieve, usually within a certain period of time.
For example, your dream might be to live abroad one day.
Your plan could be to improve your English, research different countries, and save money.
And your goal could be to save a certain amount of money within the next 12 months.
When we put these ideas together, the future becomes less mysterious and more practical.
Exactly. Instead of thinking, "I want a better future," you can ask yourself, "What does a better future actually mean to me?"
That question can be surprisingly difficult.
It really can. Sometimes we think we want something because everyone around us seems to want it.
Maybe your friends want a high-paying job, a big apartment, a busy social life, or a successful career.
And you may start thinking, maybe I should want those things too.
But your future does not have to look like someone else's future.
Exactly. One person may dream of living in a huge city, while another person dreams of a quiet house near nature.
One person may want to build a large company, while another may simply want stable work that gives them enough time for family and personal interests.
Neither choice is automatically better. What matters is whether the life you are building actually fits your values.
The word values is useful here. Your values are the things that are important to you, such as freedom, family, security, creativity, learning, or independence.
And understanding your values can make future decisions much easier.
Let's make this personal, Sarah. When you think about your future, what is one thing you really hope will be part of your life?
That's a good question. One thing I hope for is more freedom with my time.
What do you mean by freedom with your time?
I mean, having more control over how I spend my days. I don't necessarily want to stop working, I just want more flexibility.
So you want to decide when and where you work instead of always following the same schedule.
Exactly. I think I've started to value time more as I've gotten older.
That makes sense. When we're younger, we often think mostly about money or success.
Yes, but later we may realize that time is also a kind of wealth.
I agree. You can earn more money, but you cannot get yesterday back.
That's why when I imagine my future, I don't only think about my job, I think about how I want my ordinary days to feel.
That is an interesting way to think about the future. Not just asking, what do I want to have, but also asking, how do I want to live?
Exactly. I would like to have time for learning, traveling, relaxing, and spending time with people I care about.
So your future is not only about achievements, it is also about your lifestyle.
Yes, and I think that distinction is important. Sometimes we focus so much on reaching a goal that we forget to think about what happens after we reach it.
That's true. Imagine someone spends 10 years working extremely hard because they want a successful career, but when they finally get there, they realize they don't enjoy the lifestyle that comes with it.
Exactly. That's why we should think about the journey as well as the destination in daily life.
All right, now let's continue our conversation about the future, because there is another question that can help us understand what we really want.
Yes, we have talked about where we want to go, but sometimes we also need to ask ourselves why we want to go there.
That little word, why, can change the way we think about our plans.
For example, someone might say, I want to become successful. But what does successful mean to that person?
Maybe success means earning more money. Maybe it means having a job they enjoy. Maybe it means helping their family or having more freedom.
Or perhaps it means becoming independent and making their own decisions without always depending on other people.
So before we make a big plan for the future, it can be useful to understand the reason behind that plan.
I agree. If you understand your reason, it becomes easier to stay focused when things become difficult.
Let's take learning English as an example. Imagine someone says, I want to speak English fluently.
That sounds like a good goal, but we can make it more meaningful by asking why.
Maybe they want to speak English because they want to travel without feeling nervous.
Maybe they want to communicate with international colleagues at work.
Maybe they want to understand movies, podcasts, books, or videos without depending on translations.
Or maybe they simply want to feel proud because they have worked hard to develop a new skill.
When you know your reason, practice feels different. You're not only studying English, you are working toward a life that matters to you.
That is a powerful way to look at learning. The same idea works for many other goals.
If your goal is to become healthier, ask yourself why. If your goal is to change careers, ask yourself why. If your goal is to save money, ask yourself why.
The answer does not have to sound impressive. It just needs to be honest.
That is important because your future should be based on your real life, not on what sounds impressive to other people.
Sometimes we choose goals because we want other people to respect us.
We may think, if I have this job, people will think I'm successful.
Or, if I live in this place, people will think I'm doing well.
But after some time, we may discover that other people's opinions are not enough to make us happy.
Exactly. A future that looks impressive from the outside may not feel good from the inside.
So, one useful question is, Would I still want this if nobody knew about it?
That is a difficult question, but it can reveal a lot.
Imagine you want to learn a new skill, travel somewhere, start a small business, or change your lifestyle.
If you would still want it even without praise from other people, there's probably a personal reason behind it.
And that personal reason can become a strong source of motivation.
Speaking of motivation, we should talk about something that often affects future plans: fear.
Yes, people often have ideas about the future, but fear makes them hesitate.
They may think, what if I fail?
Or what if I make the wrong decision?
Or even, what if I try and people laugh at me?
These thoughts can feel very real, especially when the future is uncertain.
But uncertainty does not always mean danger. Sometimes it simply means that you do not have all the information yet.
That is a useful difference. We often want certainty before taking action, but certainty is not always possible.
You may never know exactly what will happen when you start something new.
You can research, prepare, and think carefully, but there will still be unknown things.
And sometimes the only way to learn is to take a small step and see what happens.
I like the idea of a small step because it makes the future feel less frightening.
Exactly. You do not have to decide your entire life today.
You can simply make the next useful decision.
For example, if you want to change careers, you do not have to quit your job tomorrow.
You could first research the new field, talk to someone who works in it, take an online course, or spend a few hours learning about the skills you would need.
Then you have more information before making a bigger decision.
That is a much calmer approach.
It also gives you the chance to discover whether you actually enjoy the new direction.
Sometimes we imagine something will be perfect, but after trying it, we discover that reality is different.
And that is not necessarily bad news. It is useful information.
Exactly. Learning what you do not want can be just as valuable as learning what you do want.
I think people sometimes forget that.
They believe every decision has to be perfect, but most decisions are not permanent.
You can adjust many things as you learn more about yourself.
Your interests can change, your responsibilities can change, your priorities can change. Even your definition of happiness can change as you grow older.
That is why I think it is better to build a flexible future rather than a rigid one.
What do you mean by a flexible future?
I mean, having clear values and general goals while remaining open to new information and opportunities.
So you know what matters to you, but you're not afraid to change the exact route.
Exactly. Think about traveling to a city you have never visited. You may know where you want to go, but you do not have to follow one road every second.
You can take another road if there's traffic.
You can stop if you need a break.
And you might even discover an interesting place that was not part of your original plan.
That happens all the time when traveling.
And life can be similar. Sometimes an unexpected change can lead you somewhere valuable.
That does not mean we should have no plans.
Right. It means our plans should leave some room for reality.
Yes, and leaving room for reality can make our plans feel much less stressful.
It also means we can prepare carefully while staying open to what we learn along the way.
And when we understand that, we can start thinking about how time affects our future, especially when we expect quick results.
Because the future takes time to change more than we think. We've talked about direction, reasons, fear, and flexibility. Now let's talk about something that quietly shapes all of these things: our daily habits.
Yes, a future is not usually created by one huge decision. Most of the time it is created by small actions that we repeat until they become part of our lives.
Think about someone who wants to speak English confidently in the future. Their future ability will probably come from many ordinary moments.
Listening to a podcast while having breakfast, reading a short article, speaking for 10 minutes, learning useful expressions, and trying again after making mistakes.
None of those actions looks dramatic, but when they are repeated for months, they can create a big difference.
The same thing is true for money, health, work, relationships, and almost every other part of life.
If you want to save money, you may need to make small choices regularly instead of waiting for one perfect opportunity.
If you want to become healthier, you may need to choose better habits on ordinary days, not only when you feel motivated.
If you want a different career, you may need to spend a little time each week developing a skill that could help you later.
This is why habits are so powerful. They connect the person you are today with the person you want to become.
But there is something important here. A habit does not have to be huge to be useful.
Exactly. Sometimes people create a very ambitious plan and then stop because it requires too much time and energy.
They say, from tomorrow, I'll study for 2 hours every day.
And then tomorrow comes, they are tired, busy, or distracted, and the plan disappears.
That sounds familiar.
It happens to almost everyone. A smaller plan can sometimes be much stronger because you can actually repeat it.
So instead of saying, I will study English for 2 hours every day, you could say, I will study for 15 minutes after dinner.
15 minutes may not sound impressive, but if you keep doing it, those minutes begin to add up.
And after a few weeks, the habit can feel normal instead of difficult.
That is when consistency becomes more important than motivation.
Motivation can be strong today and weak tomorrow.
But a routine can continue even when your feelings change.
I think that is one of the most useful lessons when thinking about the future.
Yes, you cannot expect to feel excited every day about the life you are building.
There will be boring days.
There will be busy days.
There will be days when you question your decisions.
And there will be days when you simply want to rest.
Rest is important too. A future that requires you to be productive every minute is probably not the future most really want.
Exactly. You need space for rest, relationships, fun, and unexpected moments.
So building a better future does not mean turning every hour into work. It means using your time in a way that supports what matters to you.
And sometimes that means saying no.
That can be difficult because every yes takes some of your time.
If you say yes to every invitation, every request, and every distraction, you may have very little time left for your own priorities.
That is why learning to protect your time is an important part of planning for the future. You can be kind to people without saying yes to everything.
You can care about others while still making room for your own goals.
And you can change your schedule when you realize that something is no longer important.
Another thing that can help is writing your goals down.
Yes, when an idea stays only in your head, it can feel unclear.
Writing it down makes it more concrete.
You could write, I want to improve my English because I want to speak confidently when I travel.
Then you could write one small action below it. I will listen to English for 15 minutes every morning.
Suddenly, the future goal becomes connected to something you can do today.
You can also review your goals from time to time and ask whether they still matter.
That last part is important. Goals should be reviewed, not worshipped.
I like that. A goal is supposed to serve your life, not control it.
Exactly. If your situation changes, you can change the goal.
Maybe you originally wanted to move abroad, but later you discover that your family needs you nearby.
Maybe you wanted a certain career, but after trying it, you realize you prefer something else.
Or maybe you discover a new opportunity that you never considered before.
You are allowed to respond to those changes.
Your future does not need to be a straight line.
It can have turns, pauses, surprises, and even mistakes.
What matters is that you keep learning from the journey.
And I think there's another important part of the future that we have not talked about enough: the people around us.
Absolutely. The people we spend time with can influence our thinking, our confidence, and even our goals.
If you spend time with people who always tell you that nothing is possible, you may slowly start believing them.
But if you spend time with people who encourage you to learn and grow, you may become more willing to take positive risks.
That does not mean everyone around you has to agree with every dream you have.
Right. A good friend can disagree with you and still respect you.
What matters is whether the relationship allows you to be honest, learn, and become yourself.
Sometimes the future also means deciding which relationships deserve more of your time.
That can be difficult, especially when you have known someone for many years.
But growing does not always mean keeping everything exactly the same.
People change, and relationships can change too.
The important thing is to treat people with respect while also respecting your own direction.
And when you have supportive people around you, share your progress with them.
You do not need to have every answer before you begin.
Your future can grow as you grow.
So keep learning, keep choosing, and keep taking small steps. Share one future goal in the comments if you enjoyed this episode.
Thank you for listening to Talk Sara English.
Keep practicing, keep growing, and trust your next step.
Take care and keep moving toward the future you want.
See you in the next episode.